United transfer news and sale news with interesting, credible reports coming in that Sir Jim thinks he may have won. Sources close to him suggesting that they feel they've done enough and that there could be an announcement this week. We'll dive into that because it's coming from an interesting source. Also, developments around Rasmus Højlund. I do want to talk about the striker situation. Definitely think that's a really interesting avenue. We've also been linked to Bayern Munich midfielder GORETZKA today. What is that all about? And Lisandro Martinez could be about to sign a new contract. So lots to get into on the show this evening. I hope you're all doing very, very well. Without further ado, let's just hit straight away with where this is coming from. So it's coming from The Athletic. It's coming from Laurie Whitwell, who is one of the many, well, not many, but one of the handful of journalists that just spend their time following Manchester United around, and therefore they will have good sources close to United. And what he's saying is there's a suggestion that there will be some clarity on the ownership of Manchester United this week. But then you speak to people and they say we had this 2 months ago as well. However, there's certainly people that work with Sir Jim Ratcliffe that feel like they're putting the moves in place to ultimately take control of the club. And therefore, that leads naturally to where we've been for a few weeks now, where the suspicion is that the Glazers want to stay and work with Sir Jim Ratcliffe on a deal. Now, it's interesting because I think that we were in a... And look, no one more than me wants us to move forward on the sale. But as Joseph says, it's the same story every week. And we have to follow the news, Joseph. I'm sorry, it's in The Athletic. It's from Laurie Whitwell. I mean, I know some people are a bit thick and they don't realise that we always source most of the stories that we talk about. And I'm with you. I am with you. I think that and even Laurie Whitwell says it in his article, that there are people out there who, are saying that this week there could be some news. Zach says Glazers out. But then there are people who are saying that this has been going on for a long time. Love the community. Full sale over, says Jeff. I'd rather move on to transfer stories anyway, but I just want to hit this because it is coming in from The Athletic. That, do I think we'll get any news this week? Honestly, I don't know. At some point it's going to land and we're going to go, wow, that's the news. But on the other hand, I don't think the Glazers are at a point yet where they're ready to go, we're going to go with Sir Jim. I still think that they're looking at Qatar going, do you want to throw some more money at us? And I think that's where we're at. And I think even if they did say we're going to go with Sir Jim, there may be another bid that puts it back anyway. So I suspect what's probably happening here is that they're preparing to go ahead with the Sir Jim bid because they can stay. But that's a very technical bid to sort out. And they're probably saying, is that your final offer from Qatar? And therefore, I mean, look, it could still rumble on. My major concern is that... I'm not even concerned that Sir Jim thinks he's going to win the race. I'm not concerned about the part of the story that says people close to Sir Jim are, putting things in place to take over Manchester United. I mean, we heard from Rob Dawson today in ESPN saying that both Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Al Thani have the makeup of their, board pretty much sorted already if they are to take over Manchester United. I mean, that is fantastic, and that just shows you the amount of work these people are putting in, but they're proper business people. So Jim's been bidding for Manchester United for 6 months. Al Thani's been bidding for Manchester United for 6 months. You don't just wait and see if your bid's going to happen. They're already looking at what teams they want them around them. So look, I don't necessarily think Laurie Whitwell saying that people close to Sir Jim are putting things in place to take over United, because I imagine Al Thani's doing the same as well. I think the reason Sir Jim probably thinks he's going to win is because the Glazers probably want to stay. But I would like some clarity like everybody else, but I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. No more hand-me-downs from Bayern, please. Also, till I hear it from the Muppet's mouth. Abraham hearing Sir Jim thinking he's won is like me saying I think I'm going to go home with a 10 out of 10. Don't put yourself down, Summy. You never know. Mark, you've got to admit, Bedroom Blogger is a good one, says Ben. I think it's very good. I'll talk about that later. If they do stay and win, do you think United will ever win a Premier League title or Champions League in your life? No. No, Nathan, I don't think we'll win a Champions League or a Premier League with this ownership type. They will not lose face and take this line down. They will buy another club and compete with City in 3 years, says Ginger Red, talking about Al-Thani. And I know United are always linked with everyone, but this time feels different because it's Ten Hag. I really think Qatar will own United. Glazers out, says James. Well, the most important thing is what's going to happen in the transfer window. And even tonight, we've got this story about Goretzka that I want to get onto. But my only concern is that... my only concern is what impact is this sale going to have on the summer transfer window, because that's the immediate thing, isn't it? And people will say, well, no, that's wrong, Mark. That's wrong. Really, you've got to look long term. The transfer window is not the priority. The sale's the priority. But many people said it. Nick said it this afternoon. I think if you get this summer transfer window wrong, or you're slow and you snooze, you lose. I think we will end up outside the top 4 if we get this wrong. Our rivals are making moves. Liverpool are making moves. Arsenal, Chelsea. So we've got to be on it. And I just hope that the sale process isn't going to delay deals. I do believe we'll spend over 200 million. I've said that many times. But is that money available now, or are they going to have to wait on the sale? And that's going to be the most important thing. So look, that's where we are with the sale. No further forward, really. I did hum and ha about whether to even bring it into the show tonight, but I thought, well, it's from The Athletic. It's from Laurie Whitwell. And if there is an announcement in the next couple of days, then, at least we're signposting where it's come from as a source. But ultimately, it could just all be conjecture. And I'd rather talk about transfers, to be honest. If Sir Jim gets the club, I'm done with United. Sir Jim is a broke in the football world nowadays. Sir Jim is just the Glazers light, says Wad. And Sir Jim, team Nice finished 9th in the league this season. That's not good for United, says Darren. And of course, as Jim let those leeches stay, Jim is the minority investment from America, as we went mad at. Let fan base down with greed and not what's best for United, says Danny. Thank you very much. Also, we've had a super chat coming in from Stephen, who says, how can the Premier League and the FA allow the Sir Jim bid to go through with the amount of debt involved when we already carry so much debt? Says Stephen. I don't think the Premier League really are fit for purpose on that sort of thing. Justice for Varane and Casemiro. Top show, Mark. Full sale only, says Paul D. Thank you very much. So, yeah, that's where we are with the sale. I'm more than happy to talk about it if people want to, but I think it comes back to Supercell Genius there saying that if the Glazers don't want to sell, we're stuck with them. And I think that I just don't know. I don't know what they're all about, but I'll tell you what they are. They're a bunch of flirts. I nearly said something else. They're a bunch of flirts, to make out that they were going to sell and they've never had any intention of selling. If that happens, is a disgrace. Hope you do well. Doing well, says Adrian. I have my A-level maths exam tomorrow. Have you got any tips for me? By the way, I really like your video content. Thank you, Adrian. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Good luck with your exams tomorrow. I don't have any tips on A-levels. Didn't do them. Wish I did. But good luck with that. I want to talk about this Goretzka story. Actually, the one thing I'm lacking on this Goretzka story, and this is why we've got a great community. How old is he? How old's Goretzka? I'm getting the word. I'm getting the word Knox. I'm getting the word. That's Phoenix Knights is brilliant. I'm getting the word 29. I'm getting the word 29. That's not a word, it's a number. I'm getting the number 29 for Goretzka. How old is Goretzka? Does anyone actually know how old he is? 28, says Carol. Looks like he's 28. So, it's coming in from Plettigol, who's a German journalist, saying that Manchester United are looking at Goretzka because if Bayern Munich go for Declan Rice, then Goretzka would be available. I mean, that in itself just tells you the bloody problem, doesn't it? Somebody said it earlier. We don't want any more Bayern Munich hand-me-downs, and we really don't. We really don't. Bayern Munich, you go and buy the player that we want, and then we'll take the player that you don't want anymore. I mean, it's just, that's ridiculous. Bayern Munich signed Declan Rice, so we'll get Goretzka. No, how about we get Declan Rice? I'm not saying Goretzka's a bad player. Look, Goretzka is a good player. But I thought Bayern Munich played well against Man City, and if bloody the French Maguire, what was his name, Upamecano hadn't been playing, and they'd had a striker, I think they'd have given City a good game. So Goretzka's a good player, but I think Bayern would probably want 50 million quid for him as well. We'll pay off the Rice fee for them. No. If Declan Rice is going to go to Bayern, we should not be the club that helped Bayern Munich out financially by taking Goretzka off their hands so they can get the model that we should be going for. I don't want Goretzka. He's a good player, and I know I always say, well, if we've got to back Ten Hag, but that to me doesn't feel like a good deal. I don't know. My brother and I are major fans. Glazers out, says that kid Vic. Thank you. And Locke has been a member for 2 months. Thank you very much. It feels like the nightmare's just getting worse. Sir Jim's other club's ownership does not fill me with confidence. It's so frustrating, says Jubin. And Sir Jim Nice, I've done that one from Darren. Remy says, we have to ask ourselves, why are the Glazers staying? Why did Liverpool owners pull them off the market? I dread to think what they're cooking. I'll tell you what, Remy. It's an irrelevant comment in the sense that we're not always going to remember it. But I think, if the Glazers do stay, Liverpool and Man United were working on the Super League together. Liverpool were put up for sale the same time as Man United. Liverpool aren't for sale anymore. Man United, if the Glazers stay, weren't really up for sale. What is going on? What are they cooking? You're right. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Goretzka? I mean, I don't know. Well, let's do a poll. Goretzka, yes or no? He's a good player, but I'm going to file this under one of the many players that will get linked to this summer that we're not actually going to get. So I'm not going to get too concerned about it. I mean, Rabiot or Goretzka? Probably go Rabiot. I think he's about the same age and he's free. But yeah, I don't see Goretzka as an option, if I'm being honest. But you know what? I always say this about Ten Hag. He will buy players from the Bundesliga because he loves the Bundesliga and he loves the Eredivisie. And he managed in the Bundesliga. I don't know why I say Bundesliga. He got married in the Bundesliga. He did. He got married. No, he didn't get married. He managed Bayern B. Yeah. And I've always said he'll buy players from the Bundesliga at some point. So I think that be careful, be wary of that. He will look at a player like that. So Jim is going to drown the club to the places people thought it's impossible with the Glazers, says Darko. So Jim's Swiss club has been relegated, says Bruce. Does he own a Swiss club as well? Bloody hell. He's got more clubs than a golf bag. Why don't Qatar just buy the club for 8 billion and get it done, says Frederick? Because we're only worth 4, probably. I don't know. I tell you what, it's a lot closer with Goretzka, though. I mean, and fair play to the chat here. He is a good player. Oliver says I'd take him because he's better than what we've got. Yeah, I tell you what, I don't disagree with you, Oliver, and I'm quite impressed by the chat because this is what it's all about. It's not about what I think; it's about what you think as well. And I quite like what Oliver said there. And I quite like what the chat is saying, because on the poll at the moment, 57% say no to Goretzka and 43% say yes. He is a good player. There's no doubt about that. I just don't like the idea of doing Bayern Munich a favour when they would only sell Goretzka if they get the superstar midfielder that they want, which is probably Declan Rice, and then we help them out. We should be getting the midfielder that they want. We're Manchester United. If Mount signs, do you think it's the end of Van der Beek, says Jamil? Didn't think we'd be talking about Van der Beek tonight. Lots to talk about. We are finished. Qatar to buy a London club if United bid failed. City, Newcastle, Chelsea and Tottenham or West Ham with unlimited funds. We'll be done, says Cads. And also, hey Mark, you hear anything about United wanting Gutierrez from Chicago Fire, says Daniel? No. Look, Donny van der Beek really is not worth talking about at the moment until we know we get clarity on the transfer window. I think if Fred, McTominay go and you only buy Mason Mount, then Van der Beek's going to stay, isn't he? I think if McTominay stays, Fred stays, and you buy Mason Mount, Van der Beek's probably going. I think Donny's too hard to see what's going to happen. It's a long way back for Donny, though. Rory C says, check him on transfer market. He's very injury prone, Goretzka. Thank you, Rory. And another Rory, could be the same Rory, says, we could be trying to help do a deal with Bayern so that Arsenal or the English clubs don't get Rice, says Rory. Yeah, but that'd be a sad thing to do because we can't even afford him ourselves. And Goretzka is a gamble, says Talhal. I don't think we're in for Goretzka. I know it's a story, and the way it works and the way it's worked for years here is that we'll follow the stories, but unless they're really... There is a level that we look at. Like Plettigol, I do think is pretty good. there's a level I won't go down to because it's a waste of time. But yeah, I don't think we'll be in for Goretzka, but let's wait and see. Mark, off topic, do you golf? Come to LA, says Jake. Loads of people are trying to get me into golf at the moment. Loads of people. Ben Foster never shuts up about it. Will, who I did the football fill-in, they all want me to play golf. I'm like, I haven't got bloody time. And if I'm going to do something, I want to be good at it. And to play golf good, you've got to play hours and hours and hours. There'll be no bloody United Stand 8 o'clock show. There'll be no United Stand afternoon show if I start playing golf. You'll get the morning show and that's it. Oliver says, ultimately, we need to get back and trust Ten Hag until upstairs is sorted. The transfer strategy will be the same as it's always been, says Oliver. Well, interestingly, Zlatan retires, thought, says Moyne. I saw all the pictures last night. I didn't tweet about it because I just didn't want to get lost in the masses, but just seen we're going after Dutch striker. Yeah, okay, Raz. Yeah, I'm not reading that out. I like Zlatan. I do feel that his time at United is a little bit overhyped. I do like Zlatan, but there was a lot of problems with Zlatan. I mean, teams used to play a ridiculously high line against us. I remember playing Bournemouth. I've said it a few times. Some of you might remember. Bournemouth played us at Old Trafford with Zlatan up front. The line they played was past the centre circle. They were playing that high. I'd take Goretzka, but he's a fantastic player. There's no doubt about that. I just don't think the time at United was as good as some people think it was. I'd take Goretzka over Sabitzer. We had to take a player from Bayern. Cheers, Mark, says Javier. What I would say about Zlatan, though, I think if he'd played in a time when Messi and Ronaldo, if Messi and Ronaldo hadn't been around, I think his stock would be even higher. I think he's a very, very talented player. And I like the fact that he was big as well. Dan Taylor, welcome to Members Club. And he is better than Rabiot and Sabitzer. What being said, he's German McTominay. We should go for Casido or Rice, says Darker. See you tomorrow night, Mark. Is Beth handing out Goalkeeper of the Year, says Sean from Ireland. And Bobby says, we should buy players that are better than what City have, not better than what we have. We have a mountain to climb to compete. I absolutely agree with this, Bobby. When we're buying players, I look at that a lot. We need to buy players that are better. Or we need to be buying players that teams like Liverpool and Man City would want. And that is why I don't have a problem with Mason Mount, because I think that is a player that Liverpool definitely do want. If you are, just a little no, it's 50-50 on Goretzka now. That is interesting. So 50-50 on Goretzka. We have been linked to him. Let's wait and see what happens. I don't think anything will come of it, but it's interesting. Hoyland can run 100 metres in under 12 seconds, apparently, says Harry. I used to be able to do that. But yeah, just in relation to tomorrow night, I will be live at this time tomorrow night, Dublin. I'll either be doing really well or I'll have no, I will be doing really well. I've got a really good show planned. I'm really looking forward to it. There's a few laughs in there, let's just say, and I'll have had a few beers before I go on stage, so I'll probably just ramble like I do on a Friday night. So I'm looking forward to it. We do have an 8 o'clock show for the people who aren't coming to the tour tomorrow night, so check it out. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to watching it myself later on tomorrow night. So don't miss out on the content tomorrow, and I'll be providing content throughout the day. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night. It's going to be good. Hopefully we'll get a few clips up on the socials. We might even be able to record it and put it up for the members on Thursday or Friday. If you want to come, there are still a few tickets left. I'm not saying that they're front of house tickets, because a lot of those they're mainly gone. But it's a nice big venue and there are a few tickets left. It's going to be a lovely day in Dublin tomorrow. It'd be lovely to see you there. Links in the live description and in the live chat. I want to talk about the striker situation next. Now, you might have seen this. I've always said that the Mirror are pretty good around Manchester United this year. Well, John Cross in the Mirror has said that Man United are stepping up their interest in Atalanta's Rasmus Højlund. He is quickly emerging as leading candidate and is available for around £40 million. I think this is really interesting. You might not have watched... You might have watched the video I did with Fabrizio this afternoon. It's always a whirlwind with Fabrizio. So many questions, so many topics. It's well worth a rewatch. But we did talk about Rasmus Højlund, and obviously Fabrizio is based in Italy. And he said, look, United are fully aware of the situation with Rasmus. He wants to come to United. United put a lot of work in. But Fabrizio was sort of saying that he's probably at this stage more of a backup option to Harry Kane or Osimhen. So it doesn't feel like a deal will move quickly. I can see a deal coming quickly if we're going to buy 2 strikers. If he's going to be the priority striker, I think it's really interesting. Rory Murphy, welcome to the Members Club. And we have finally been linked to Casido by Mail Sport. They're also linking us to Lavia, says HKN. Well, look, we got linked to Casido this afternoon on the Fabrizio Romano show here. So if you watch it, you'd know that. But look, I think the striker situation is one I wanted to spend a few minutes on. Just Keevan says, Hoyland's the new Nicholas Bentner. Look, I don't actually think I don't normally do this, but I don't think many people know a lot about Rasmus Hoyland. I really don't. And I'm not going to pretend I know everything. I'm certainly not. I don't do that. Obviously I do like Italian football. I don't watch it as much as I used to be honest. I've probably seen Rasmus Hoyland play 90 minutes 3 times this year. And I've seen a lot of highlights because I watch Italian football highlights every week. I don't need to see a player 20 times to see what they're all about. If you could watch, I could watch Wout Weghorst for 90 minutes for the first time and know exactly what he's all about. He's not quick, he runs around a lot, and he's not particularly good in the air, and he's average at most other things. From what I've seen about Hoyland, he is what he is. He's very raw. He's got loads of talent. I think he's got the potential to be one of Europe's best strikers in the next 2 years. And I think the same about Evan Ferguson. And I think these are the sort of players that Man United need to be looking at. But what I think and you think really doesn't matter. Erik ten Hag likes him. Now, I think Rasmus Hoyland has the potential to be one of Europe's best strikers. Erik ten Hag clearly thinks the same. So whether you think he's the next Nicholas Bentner or is the next Erling Haaland or whoever, Erik ten Hag clearly sees something in him, and that will do. That will do. I think United should be looking at these sort of players. I don't think we'll get him for 40 million quid. I think that would be a steal. I'd love United to get him for 40 million quid, considering bloody Liverpool have got Alexi McAllister for 40 million. I don't know how that's happened, by the way. I don't know how Liverpool have managed to do that. We never seem to get deals done like that. But I would like Rasmus Hoyland. I really, really would. And there is one thing that sort of drops into my head, which I've been saying for a while now. Welcome to the Members Club, Rory. Welcome to the Members Club, Ian. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. What if we buy Rasmus Hoyland and no other striker, but he's going to continue to use Rashford down the middle, and Rashford and Hoyland will be the striking options, with Anthony, Ahmad, Sancho and Garnacho as the wingers next year? I mean, it's not as far-fetched as you might think. You know, maybe next season Rashford's the starting number 9 and Hoyland's the challenger. And then you've got Garnacho and Sancho off the left, and you've got Anthony and Ahmad off the right. It's not completely out of the question, is it? We all think, well, let's get Hoyland and Kane, or Hoyland and Ramos, or Hoyland and Muani, or Hoyland and Osman. But actually, what if it's Hoyland and nobody else, and Rashford's the number 9? So, all I would say is aim high, but with United, you also know there's a low. There's probably a consistent low, really. So, you can think, let's buy 2 strikers, and I think we should. But remember, Martial's still going to be there as well. We just need to fix the areas on the pitch that need fixing. We can put players up for sale, but you need to sell them first. Love the bedroom decor, says Slow Sports News. And McAllister turned down United thoughts. Also, would you keep Wout as a second choice striker? He has shown great passion, says Ajit. Did Alexi McAllister turn Manchester United down? Mate, I don't care if he did. I really don't. Mason Mount's turning Liverpool down for us. You say tomato, I say tomato. You say potato, I say potato. You say Liverpool, I say Manchester United. I mean, Liverpool's a big club. They've got a good manager. They've had a better recent history than us. Man United and Liverpool want Alexi McAllister. He chooses Liverpool. Oh God, no! It's the end of the world. I mean, look, I don't really care. I don't. If he chooses Man United, he's a good player. If he chooses Liverpool, he's still a good player. It doesn't. And I mean, how hard did United go for Alexi McAllister? I think Alexi McAllister or Mason Mount. I don't think both. Maybe Ten Hag prefers Mount. I don't know. Is Alexi McAllister as good as everybody says he is? I think he's good, but will he be as good for Liverpool as he was for Brighton? Didn't work for Bissouma, did it? So, look, the reality is he could be bloody brilliant. Sadio Mane apparently turned down Man United for Liverpool. I don't really care. I think there's plenty of players out there. Sounds like Liverpool are getting Kessie for 35 million too, says SB. Well, I like Kessie, but even if he signed for United, I'd be worried. Vlahovic should be our target striker if Kane's likely to go to Real Madrid, says Manjula. I'm surprised Real Madrid are not looking at Vlahovic. I think he's a prime sort of player for them. Just very quickly, a few people have mentioned this bedroom blogger thing now. So last week I was on TalkSport with Laura Woods and Ali, and they were asking me about what I thought about Simon Jordan basically having a pop at Ten Hag for wanting more money in January. And I said, well, you know, a bloke who's been driving around in a Vauxhall shouldn't be telling everybody how to drive a Ferrari, because he ran Crystal Palace. This is Manchester United. So he was asked about me on something today, and he basically said he's a bedroom blogger, which I think I can take that. That's absolutely fine. For me, that's right up there with Forest fan, mum's bedroom. Fine. I've got no problem with it. Some people will find it funny. I'm talking a little bit like Simon now, you pontificating podcaster. But the reality is, let's have a chat. You know, don't be Gary Neville. Let's have a chat. You know, he's had a bit of a response. I think I would love to have a chat with Simon Jordan about the sale of Manchester United, because I think he's probably got a very different opinion to what we have about the Glazers and stuff. I think there'd be a really interesting chat there. Let's do it. Let's do it. We should just, but you know what? Too many of these people, they Gary Neville it. We should just track who Brighton are negotiating with and hijack every deal they try to make, says David. And how about Dybala and Kane, Osman, cheap second striker, says Deepa. I'd rather Felix than Dybala, to be honest. We shouldn't sign Mount. We need someone who can keep the ball and dictate the tempo. We are like a basketball team, either attacking or defending, says Prash. No, I think we should buy Mason Mount, Prash. I think you need to buy Mason. I think you need to buy. Lots of people are laughing about the bedroom blogger. It's good. It's good. He did violate me. I get that, but you know, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. And you know, the obvious response is have a chat with the bedroom blogger. Come round to my bedroom. No, that sounds wrong. Feeling positive with Ten Hag after many years in the dark. Thanks for all you and the United team do, Mark. Says Paul. Thank you very much, Paul. And we shouldn't sign Mount. Yeah, Prash says we shouldn't sign Mount. We should sign Mason Mount. What you actually mean is, and I'm not putting words into your head, is that we do need somebody who can control the game deeper. This is why, if you go to Anfield, I think if you played Casemiro, Mount and Bruno, you could get overrun. Same at Man City. We do need to bring in a Casido, a Declan Rice, because we do need more options in that midfield. Definitely. Yeah. So it's Mount and somebody else is what we need to do. Us going for €100 million striker, Kane or Osman, also forces Rashford on the left, which leaves Garnacho on the bench. Both Anthony and Rashford tend to shoot from the wings and not looking for a pass, says Saki. Look, I might be onto something, I might not. Paul Crampton's just gifted 5 memberships. He's a legend. Make it happen, Mark. Mr. Failed Chairman Jordan won't know what's hit him, says Milan. He probably will. You know, he's got a lot of big words. Most of them I don't know what they are, and I think he gets paid by the word. But I'm happy to have a chat with anybody. You know, we've built this community together. It's a massive community. I'm not going to turn down, you know, speaking to these people because, you know, amazingly, we actually get heard a lot now. It's just whether they want to have those conversations, and if they do, they do. They don't, they don't. You know, they do, they do. They don't, they don't. GORETZKA is an amazing pressing player, says Swoozy, with really good passing, high defensive work rate, all-round good player, and I think he has the type of centre midfielder that Ten Hag dreams of. Look, he's 50-50. It was a 50-50 with you. But on the striker situation, let's see what happens here, because I think it's the most interesting situation at United at the moment. We know we're going for Mount. We know we're going for Kim Min-jae. We know we'll bring a goalkeeper in, probably a younger one. And we know that we will try and bring in some type of holding midfielder, whether it be Rabiot, Rice, Casido. The striker is the priority position, but we don't know what we're going to do. We do need 2 strikers, but Harry Kane looks very difficult. Osman looks too expensive. Højlund looks very, very interesting. But if you buy Højlund, who's going to be... He can't play every game. he won't be ready for that. So does Rashford move to the middle? Garnacho's on the left. I think it's interesting to keep your mind on that. With the development of Mainu, would he be a holding midfielder, says Kevin? I think Mainu is really... Kevin, I tell you what, you make a great point, and I like it when people make these sort of points about the youth. If you look at Mainu, I look at Garnacho. Garnacho broke through last season, ended up a first-team player with a first-team contract. Mainu could do that next year, but he can't be the player that needs to work with Casemiro, replace Casemiro when he's suspended. Not in a breakthrough season. That would be ridiculously unfair on a young player. And Ten Hag would not do that. Ten Hag would not say, let's not buy Rabiot, let's not buy Rice because I've got Mainu. I don't think he would do that. And also, I don't think Mainu's that type of player. I don't spend hours and hours watching the youth play. Certainly not this season. I did last year, but not this season. But I don't. From what I've seen of Mainu, I don't think he's a Casemiro. I think he's a more attacking midfielder. Obviously, he's very young and he could become anything. But no, I don't see him as a player that's breaking into the team. And well, I do see him as a player breaking into the team potentially next year. I don't see him a player that just gets planted to play first team football from the off. That's just not how you do it. Comments on Rashford from you and Ben was a disgrace, says Tevin. Tevin, I've got that for you. And if you want to swivel on it, you can do. I'm not having this. I'm not having this at all. It's not a disgrace when somebody has an opinion that's different to you and is constructed in a way that is just opinion. What Ben Foster said is that Marcus Rashford is the brand player of this football club. He is the superstar of this football club. Are Man United going to be good enough if their best player is Marcus Rashford? I thought it was a really good point. Because if you look at Salah at Liverpool, or you look at De Bruyne or Haaland at Man City, or Vinicius Junior at Real Madrid, or star players at other clubs, is Rashford good enough to be the best player at Manchester United? And that's what Ben Foster was saying. He wasn't saying sell him. He was saying that United could do with a couple of players that are, basically he wants Harry Kane at Man United because he feels that Harry Kane could be the superstar of that team, not Marcus Rashford. Rashford would still play though. He's not saying sell Rashford. He's just saying if Rashford's the superstar of that team, is it good enough? It's an interesting thing. It's not about selling Rashford. It's not about saying he's not a good player. Rashford's just won Player of the Year and Players' Player of the Year. He is the star of the team in many people's eyes. I'm a massive fan of Rashford. I stuck up for him after people were slagging him off on Saturday. I think there's some truth in that. I think we need better players around Rashford. I think Rashford himself would agree with that. I would say, if you could get that superstar striker, get better players in and around Rashford, maybe he would go up a level and still be the superstar. I can see you're really hurt about the bedroom blogger comments. I'm here if you need me. I'm definitely not triggered salt. I can take a laugh. Mark, you say what's coming. Digital ID is coming later. They are building smart cities, more pandemics, less flying footballers, won't take more jabs. Lee, I don't know. I'm very rarely speechless, but I really don't know. I really don't know what to come back with on that. Mount news, says Tom. There is no news on Mason Mount. I mean, look, in relation to Mason Mount, it could happen at any time. We've got to agree a fee with Chelsea. How long's a piece of string? Depends how big you cut it. Could happen really quickly. Chelsea could play silly buggers because they don't want to sell him. Chelsea could take months on Mason Mount if they wanted to. They could say, we will sell him at some point, but we'll do it when we want to do it. I don't know. Logically, you would hope this will happen quickly because Mount wants it to happen quickly. Obviously, we want it to happen quickly. And surely Chelsea need the money. But, it might not happen quickly. We'll have to see. Another interesting bit of news that might please you. Apparently, Lisandro Martinez is going to be offered a new contract. Now, United are weird at this sort of stuff. We're not as weird as Chelsea. I think they extended Enzo Fernandez's contract, which was already an 8-year deal, to a 10-year deal. Did that actually happen? I remember it coming out, and I couldn't believe it, whether it was fake or not. But apparently, they got Enzo Fernandez on an 8-year deal, and they offered him an extra 2. But look, Lisandro Martinez. I don't know what his terms are at Man United, but I presume the contract was quite long in the first place. So talk of a new contract. I don't know how it works. Look, I don't know everything. Some people would say you don't know anything, but I don't know how that works. That you buy a player a year ago, they're on a long contract, and then you get them on another contract. I don't know. You know, I think Højlund can also play wide marks, as Aaron. Somebody just said there is a bit of development around Mason Mount, so let's just have a quick look here. There might be a bit of a story coming in. I mean, there's always a story around Mason Mount at the moment. Let me have a quick look. Looks like it. There's progress now when the once was none. Mail Sport saying that Man United admire Caicedo and Lavia. Southampton are likely to demand 40 million for the midfielder. Look, Lavia's a fantastic player. I don't think that I don't think a lot of people are. I don't think a lot of people would say no to Casemiro. Sorry, what am I about Casemiro? I don't think. No, we wouldn't say that. I think a lot of people wouldn't say no to Lavia. I think he's a really interesting player, but he's got that Man City connection, isn't he? They got him from Man City, so I can't find anything on Mason Mount. I can't see a thing about Mason Mount, so it depends how frequent, how recent that news is. I mean, look, I've heard that Chelsea want upwards of 80 million quid for him. We'll get laughed out. We'll get laughed at. We'll get laughed at if we pay that much money for Mason Mount. He's a good player, but he's got 1 year left on his deal. You're having a bloody laugh. Like, if Alexis McAllister is going from Brighton to Liverpool for 40 million, Chelsea need to wind their neck in, because Mount's got 1 year left on his deal. If Alexis McAllister's going for 40 million, you ain't getting more than 55. Take it or leave it. That's what I would do. You can't pay 60, 70 million pounds for Mason Mount when Alexis McAllister's going for bloody 40. Here we go. British biased. Højlund is the new Lord Bentner and Ericsson is crap. Look across the borders and educate yourself. Great show, says Daniel Anderson. Okay, Daniel's going to wind a load of people up there and get a load of shit back. Some people just want attention. They don't even mind if it's people calling them a knobhead. They just want to be having attention, don't they? Neymar, we spoke about. Look, definitely do check out the video with Fabrizio this afternoon, because we spoke about so many different players. Neymar was mentioned. French centre-backs, all sorts of stuff. Lavia is a top player, but Man City might be the barrier, says Zico. Yes, I think they've got first refusal, which means that they'll get offered him first. I mean, to be honest with you, why wouldn't Pep Guardiola go for him as well? Man City sort of do need midfielders. Rashford is so selfish, and we know he was the one that was backbiting last year. He does not even get into England's front line. Why should he be in ours, says Mr. Armstrong. Whoa, come on. Who said Rashford was backbiting last year? And no, I think he's a good player, Marcus Rashford. I'm not having that. I like Rashford. I do. I really don't want him to go. I respect opinion. I know he's not. There is a certain United fan that is not totally in love with Rashford. Ricky's one of them. That's fine. It's all about opinion. I do think there's areas of his game he needs to improve, but you look at where he was a year ago to where he is now. Very important player for us. Opinion on the Spurs manager, says Ross, and the impact on Kane's transfer. I don't think the Celtic manager coming down to manage Spurs is going to make Harry Kane think, oh, you know what? We've got a manager that's going to compete with Pep. No. Harry Kane is a fantastic striker. I have a right to an opinion. You have a right to an opinion. If Harry Kane doesn't facilitate a move to Real Madrid or Man United this summer, there's a word for somebody like that. And it's 3 words: lack of ambition. You just can't. You can't just stay at Spurs and break a bloody Premier League goal record with your boyhood club. I mean, Jack Grealish, Villa is his boyhood club. He's gone to Man City for 100 million quid. Aston Villa get a ridiculous transfer fee. he goes to Man City to win things. He's about to win a treble. Everybody wins. You know, you don't need to be loyal to your boyhood club when they're not really being loyal to you. And what I mean by that is Spurs cannot provide the platform for Harry Maguire. They can for Harry Maguire. Please do. They can't provide the platform. They can't provide the platform for Harry Kane. So he shouldn't really... He's shown a lot of loyalty to that club. I've spoken to Spurs fans who don't want him to go but would understand if he did. Is he going to win the league? Is he going to win the Champions League at Spurs in the next 50 years? No. So if he leaves, he will get that club 80, 90, 100 million pounds. Doesn't need to feel guilty. If he stays at Spurs, I think he's staying for reasons that I find baffling. Absolutely baffling. And people will say, well, it's great loyalty. I'd also say it's great stupidity. He's been very loyal to Spurs. Very, very loyal to Spurs. I'm not saying he's going to come to Manchester United, but he should be whacking a transfer request in. You know, he should be, because I don't think anybody would really hold it against him. I do not think he should. And now, look, maybe that'll be to get the move to Real Madrid. I'm not saying it should be United, but I think he should be leaving. How about Dybala and Kane? I've done that one from Deepak. Done that one as well. Paul Crampton gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much, Paul. And only Rasmus Højlund because Mason Greenwood is coming back, says Waiter. Well, you know what? I don't think so. But I'm not scared about that question. Because, as I keep saying to everybody, and look, funnily enough, we're in Dublin tomorrow night, and I said this in Dublin in our first ever live show back in March. We actually had a section where we spoke about Mason Greenwood and we got the audience to vote on it. I'll be interested to do it tomorrow night, actually, because most people didn't want Greenwood back in March. I suspect time will be a healer and more people will change their mind. There has to be a decision on Mason Greenwood. I've said it so many times. And when there has to be a decision, there has to be an outcome. And when there has to be an outcome, there might be a few different outcomes. Do I think Mason Greenwood will be in the Man United squad next season? No, I don't. That's a prediction. I don't think he will. Do I think he'll be on loan somewhere? Yes, I do. Do I think his career is over at Man United? Probably not. But I also have to accept that, you know, we might sign Goretzka. I don't think we will, but we might sign Goretzka. And, you know, maybe there is some slim chance that Mason Greenwood will be back training with United this summer. In which case, how does that work? So there will be an outcome. I think in playing with United next season is the most unlikely one, but yeah, we'll have to see. Mark, are you still as high on Jasim's bid? Reading the Financial Times article, it seems like they are outbid by Ineos, who would buy 100% of the Glazers' shares in 2 tranches, says Ola. I don't know what Financial Times article you're reading, Ola, because I haven't read anything like that. That just sounds like Sir Jim propaganda. What's your real name, Ola? Do you work for Ineos? I'll tell you what, I've never read an article about like that. I've never heard that Sir Jim's going to buy 100% of the Glazers' shares in 2 tranches. I want more details on this, Ola, if that is your real name, you Ineos employee. No, I've not read that. I don't know. Think about it. Since we sold Lukaku, we've only signed ageing centre-forwards like Cavani, Ronnie, Zlatan now, and now Kane. We should get Osman for sustainability, says FIFA Crazy. Players' careers are short. I don't understand a player who does not want to try to achieve everything they can before their time is up, says Stephen. Yeah, but that doesn't work for Harry. You're right. That doesn't just work for Harry Kane. That works for Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay, you know, Dean Henderson, Brandon Williams, every other player that's nowhere near the first team who's at United. You know, I agree. I think you've got to go and play. Ben says, is anyone other than City going to win the league in the next 3 years? It's going to take something very special, says Ben. I don't think anyone's going to touch City next year. Be interesting to see what teams do next year. Mark, we need to get young up-and-coming players, not players near the end of their time and overpaying players' wages. Hard to move on if they flop, says Peter. And thoughts about Tielemans on a free, better than Rabiot on a free, in my opinion, says Alex. Well, I'll tell you what, Alex. I think that came across as a little bit confrontational. I mean, I'll say it in a nice way. I'll tell you what, Alex, we'll do a little poll on that. Either or, on a free, Rabiot or Tielemans. Who would you go with? Alex says that Tielemans is better than Rabiot. I haven't seen the evidence of that, if I'm being honest. But I will let you decide in the chat while I just have a quick look at something here. Okay, I found the Mason Mount thing now. Oh, Fabrizio Romano. Fabrizio Romano. I don't know where he said it. So, Real Madrid will insist for Kai Havertz in the next days. No issues on personal terms as players would be keen on the move. Chelsea are opening to selling Havertz as reported 2 days ago. Waiting also for more clubs to join the race. But Real is players' priority. I mean, Real Madrid wanted Havertz years ago. I don't think he's crap. I think his effort levels for them have been a disgrace this season. I think Chelsea are right to sell him. I don't know where it's coming in from Fabrizio. I can't find it anywhere. Oh, no, I can now. So he said it on YouTube. Fabrizio says there's still no official bid from Manchester United to Chelsea for Mount because United know Chelsea don't want to negotiate at the moment. They want 80 million or nothing. Fuck off. Walk away. Just walk away. This is why you need good scouting. Because that's muggy. That is muggy. Like, you just walk away. I'm sorry. You know, you walk away from those deals. You don't hang around. Doesn't matter how good you think that player is. Mason Mount's not 80 million pounds. He's not 70 million pounds. He's not even 60 million pounds. If we go and do another Harry Maguire or another Anthony or another Jadon Sancho, and I'm not saying all those players are bad, I'm talking about the actual transfer deal, that's stupid. Alexi McAllister has just signed for Liverpool 40 million quid, and Chelsea want 80 million for Mason Mount with 1 year left on his deal. Get out of my face. Go and take your face for a shit. That's absolutely ridiculous because you're talking shit. Absolute nonsense. No. And look, it's coming from Fabrizio, so there's probably an element of truth to it. But in negotiations, you start at 80 with the intention of getting 65. It's still too much. Way too much. We're gonna get bent over again there. We're gonna get bent over there. That's ridiculous. I like the idea of Mason Mount. It's a player that Ten Hag clearly wants, but you walk away. If I said to you in the chat now, give me 5 Mason Mount alternatives who can play attacking midfielder with loads of energy, there'll be an influx of players in the chat that will be playing all around Europe, and they will cost half the price. So we're not Man City. We're definitely not Man City, but we're not in a position where you spend £100 million on one player because you've got such a good team. We need quantity and quality. You can't buy quantity when you're spending too much on one player. We spent way too much on Anthony last year. That's 30 million that could have got us Gakpo. We all know we could have got Gakpo in January if we hadn't spent 80 million on Anthony, which was 30 million too much because we went late. You buy Mount for 80, 70 million, whatever, you're jeopardising Kim Min-jae and everything else. So that's just stupid. This is something that worries me. And look, I'm not overreacting because we might end up getting Mason Mount for 50 million. But what I am saying is, as a warning, if we do go and spend too much money on Mason Mount, then unfortunately we still have this problem, and we all know it anyway. We're hoping for something different this summer. But is that not the definition of insanity when you do the same thing over and over again and expect a different outcome? We have a different manager with different intent, but we've still got the same negotiators. We've still got the same director of football. We've still got the same CEO. What do they do every year? They overpay and take ages. What is our reputation in the transfer market with other clubs and agents? We're a circus. So Chelsea are probably going 80 million, and they can see us coming. Guarantee if it was Liverpool or PSG or Real Madrid, it wouldn't be 80 million. They'd get that down. But are United good enough to do it? It's going to be a test. Why can't Henderson replace David, says Daniel? I just don't think he's good enough. In my opinion, I don't think Dean Henderson's good enough to be a top 6 goalkeeper. I think he, made a mistake coming back from Sheffield United and thinking he could be United's number 1. It cost him a couple of years. I think he needs to rebuild his career. And if he wants to be a top 6 goalkeeper, you go to Forest, who are a Premier League club, and I think they'll stay up next year, and you rebuild your career. And I think that's what Dean Henderson wants to do, and I respect that. I don't think he's ready to be Man United number one. Yeah, that's what I think about that. It's the 90% club curse. Oh, you got me to do that last night, you prats. Yeah, that's your fault. That's your fault, not mine. We are a laughing stock in the transfer window, Malps, until we're not. Either or, Rabiot or Tielemans. 61% go with Rabiot, 39% go with Tielemans. Rabiot's better than Tielemans. I'm telling you now. Tielemans has got a lot of potential, but he's not a youngster anymore. Rabiot's a better player than Tielemans. Whether Rabiot's consistent or applies it enough, he's a better player than Tielemans. Tielemans' career is Leicester City. Rabiot's played for PSG, Juventus. He was part of that France team that went to the final. He had a really good World Cup. Whether you like Rabiot or not, and there's reasons not to, he's still a better player than Tielemans, without a shadow of a doubt. Absolutely. Apparently it's 70 million or nothing for a Mason Mount. I tell you what, I suppose it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because Chelsea want to keep Mason Mount. Mason Mount wants to leave. Chelsea want to keep Mason Mount. Man United want Mason Mount. The 1 year left on his deal doesn't seem to be that relevant. United have put themselves into a tough position, I suppose. We'll have to wait and see how that develops, I guess. But I wouldn't be paying that much. It's stupid. We've got such a bad reputation for doing that. I wouldn't be doing that. I really, really wouldn't. But I like the links to Lavia. I like the links to Casido that have come out today. And let's wait and see what happens. Could be very, very interesting. Fantastic evening show as per usual. You've all been a bunch of legends. Don't forget that I'm in Dublin tomorrow night, so I'll be doing a live show. You can still get a ticket if you want to come. Links in the live chat, and it's in the video description. It's going to be a cracking show. Really excited. But we do have an 8 o'clock show for you tomorrow if you're not in Dublin. Don't miss it. It's going to be great. We've got the normal 10 o'clock show tomorrow, 2 o'clock show. I'll be on the channel anyway, but don't miss the 8 o'clock show tomorrow night. Thanks everyone for watching. Obviously, we'll keep our fingers on the pulse on transfers. If anything happens, we'll be going live, so make sure you subscribe. Just got a couple of super chats to catch up on. Kiz says, with Sancho, Garnacho, Anthony and Ahmad in the wings, Eric Ten Hag may put Rashford at number 9 with Højlund as the backup. Where have you been, Kizler? Stop nicking my ideas. I literally said that about half an hour. Slow Sports News with Kizler. And stop comparing McAllister with Mount. He had a release clause in his contract for 40 million. It was out of Brighton's control. Chelsea can do what they want, says Jacob. And I can do what I want as well, Jacob. You make a good point, but you make a bad point. Of course, it's easy to get Alexi McAllister for £40 million when he's got a release clause and Chelsea can charge what they want. But on the other hand, Manchester United don't have to pay it. Manchester United can say Alexi McAllister went to Liverpool for £40 million. You're having a fucking laugh if you think I'm paying £80 million for Mason Mount with 1 year left on his deal. That is why I said walk away. I didn't say, Jacob, that Man United have to sit there and go, you can't have 80, you've got to have 40 because of Brighton and Alexi McAllister. What I said is, you walk away. You can't have your pants pulled down like that, because everyone will go, Liverpool paid 40 million for Alexi McAllister and you paid 80 for Mount, you bloody idiots. We pay any more than 55 for Mount and we're going to look a bloody idiot because of what Liverpool have done. So you're half right, you're half wrong. To me, choosing between Tielemans and Rabiot is like choosing between eating a plate of crap and eating a plate of crap with syrup, says Stephen. Yeah, but Rabiot's the plate of crap with syrup. Defo. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Hope to see some of you at the Dublin tomorrow night show. It's going to be cracking. I'll speak to you all in a bit.